Welcome into Tennessee Titans today. I am Tom Downey, and what a win by Tennessee as they take down the Indianapolis Colts in a pivotal AFC South matchup in overtime. Final score in this one, Tennessee wins 34-31 on a Randy Bullock walk-off kick in overtime. A up-and-down game for Tennessee. We'll talk about it. There were plenty of mistakes in this one, but the end result, that's what matters here. Tennessee improves, as we'll spend some more time on in a little bit, to 6-2 on the season, a commanding lead in the AFC South, and now very much in the mix to get the number one seed, which is even more coveted than usual this year in the NFL playoffs. A big gut check win by Tennessee. Now, I do want to get this point out of the way first. We can spend some more time on the positive stuff. The penalties were a problem for Tennessee. They often came at very ill-timed moments. In total, 11 penalties for 161 yards. Now look, the Carson Wentz Colts-led offense very much relies upon the underthrown deep pass that ends up being PI because the DB can't get his head around, which I hate that call, should not be a spot foul, whatever. But there was a sack on 3rd and 10 that allowed the Colts to get better field position. There was the holding that negated a big run by, I think it was Derrick Henry in overtime that they ended up winning, but there were a lot of key moments. The PIs that led to easy scores for the Colts, those were all red flags. Remember, as I mentioned, 161 yards in penalties this week for the Tennessee Titans. They had 340 yards total. So, I mean, you guys can do the math. It's damn near, it's barely double what they had in penalty yards. More penalty yards than rushing yards out of both teams, actually. The turnovers were a big deal in this one. That's really what, in the end, sunk the Colts. And although the Titans' defense was far from perfect with the penalties and the mistakes and all of those things, 3 critical takeaways that we'll get to here more in depth in a little bit. But first, I want you guys to grade the Titans this week. A, B, C, D, or F. How you feeling about Tennessee in this one? Is it an A, B, or a C? I actually lean towards a higher grade because a win is a win and this one mattered, but I want to hear from you. So head down to the pinned comment and let me know what your grades are. Let's look now at the AFC South. This is the big takeaway, right? 3-game lead, and wait. Tennessee has now swept the Indianapolis Colts, meaning it's really a 3.5-game lead through 8 weeks because any tiebreaker will automatically go to Tennessee with that head-to-head advantage. The Jags and Texans, clearly not legit threats as the Jags continue their game right now as we sit here filming this, but Tennessee is clearly the favorite in the AFC South. In fact, this Titans team is very much in the mix to get that number one seed. And the bye means even more this year. Only one team gets it, and if you can secure that bye, that sets you up after a very long season. Remember, extra game this year. You really want that January break. Tennessee, why not Tennessee? Raiders, Chargers, they're all in the mix too. The Bengals lost to the Jets, which Tennessee knows that all too well, of course. But I think this Tennessee Titans team can absolutely get the number one seed in the AFC South. So will they, or the NFL players say, but now will they win the AFC South? I got ahead of myself there, right? I think it's an obvious, resounding yes. But I still want to hear from you guys. Type Y for yes, the Titans will win the division. I almost made this Y for yes. But if you want to dissent for whatever reason, type in N for no. Let's talk Ryan Tannehill now, who was not perfect in this game. 23 of 33, 265, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Looked a bit hobbled late in that game. Wasn't moving around quite right the way he's used to. I don't think there's a major injury concern there. I have heard no news since we started filming. But a win is a win. And again, and we'll spend some more time on this, Tennessee got the dub despite not having the best play out of Derrick Henry. But they did get prime A.J. Brown in this one. 11 targets, 10 receptions, 155 yards, and 1 touchdown. This was a big-time game out of Brown. When he was targeted, he normally came down with it. With no Julio Jones in this one, A.J. Brown made it clear that he is still this team's number one receiver. He is a massive reason why Tennessee won this game. Now, if you guys want more Tennessee Titans videos, hit that big red button and subscribe. We have gone past the 1,000 sub mark. Thank you all so much. Hey, if you want more free videos here on Tennessee Titans Today, all you have to do is subscribe right now. Back-to-back games, the Titans have not had the best performance stats-wise out of Derrick Henry. He got the ball 28 times, looked a bit hobbled at various points as well, was limping a little bit. That ankle might not have been 100%. Only 2.4 yards per carry. This was not the King Henry that Titans fans and I know fantasy football owners are so accustomed to. But a win is a win. I think I speak for any Tennessee Titans person cheering for them or fan, whether you want them to beat a different team, whatever. You'll take a win even if your best player doesn't have their best stuff. And once again, that was the case for Derrick Henry. A big-time win, despite the King not having his best stuff. Let's talk defense now. Harold Landry, I want to make sure I get the stat right. His 5th consecutive game with at least 1 sack, and his 6th consecutive game with at least half a sack. The breakout is here for the young edge rusher. Landry has genuinely emerged as one of the premier younger passers, and I think it's 8.5 sacks now this year. He was oh so impressive. What I thought was going to be the game-winning play, by the way, was made by Elijah Molden. He, as the nickel corner, I think is coming along nicely. He was always a ball hawk, always around the football when you need him to be at Washington. Well, he picked a good day to do something similar. That Carson Wentz, under pressure, doesn't throw it away, lobs it up left-handed because Carson Wentz every game does multiple things. You go, what the hell are you doing, Carson? That's so stupid of you. And he gets burned way less than he should. But he got burned today. One of them was by Elijah Molden, 2 pass breakups, 1 INT. Of course, that INT was a nice little pick 6. Who do you think was the MVP for Tennessee this week? I got a name I'm going to get to momentarily. Before that, though, I want to hear from you. Who was the MVP in this one for the Titans? I'd actually go with Kevin Byard. I thought that KB had himself a ball game. 3 pass breakups, 1 INT, 4 PBUs, and that INT was, of course, oh so critical. Late in overtime, got them basically immediately in field goal range despite the questionable holding penalty. But I think KB had himself a big-time game. I thought a slow start to the year for him. He's playing very well right now. The Titans defense overall did a good job against Carson Wentz. 27 of 51 for 231 is not a good stat line. However, there were some mistakes made in this one by Carson Wentz, and I think a lot of his yards came on those underthrown balls that lead to PI that annoys me oh so much. He also lost the fumble that was recovered by the Colts. That was a big deal for them. Look, I didn't think Carson Wentz played that great. I didn't think Jonathan Taylor had himself the best game ever. Now, he was still involved in the passing game, 3 catches, 52 yards. That matters. 4.4 yards per carry is around league average-ish. Yes, the Titans did not have their best stuff on defense. You never want to allow 31 points. But they got the win on the road in overtime and have clearly established themselves as the best team in the AFC South, if not the best team in the entire AFC right now.